Fresh air.
Greetings! Welcome to Where Would Serious Sam Sleep? A video where we take a look at the perfect location in which to sleep in Serious Sam. For the video I've chosen Serious Sam HD.
This title is full of visual splendor.
The fact of the matter is, no matter how serious Sam may be, a mere mortal requires sleep. Sure, Sam wouldn't sleep on every level in the game, but for sake of accessibility, it's nice to know where these places are beforehand. You never know when you'll get tired. There are several conditions required for a good sleep, though in some cases Sam might not be accessible to these luxuries. These luxuries would be clean water for drinking, a place to use as a toilet, and environmental conditioning, which will usually mean, is there a heat source? I wanted to include a comfortability element in this, but when it comes to relaxing spots within the game, there really are basically none. Almost the entire game is spent on rocky surfaces without any fabrics in sight. There is one other thing that must remain consistent though. There must be no chance of an enemy being able to spot us once we've decided to take the nap. Sam could be eliminated in an instant without considering this. With all this in play, let's take a look at the first level, Hatshepsut. On first entering the level, there are a few places that caught my eye, like where you pick up a secret double-barreled shotgun. Unfortunately, while there is a heat source nearby, this place looks pretty uncomfortable, and enemy spawns could walk up at any second, so it's by no means a good place to sleep. I then went into the temple, but nothing really struck me personally. Later on, I came across the middle ground where there was a massive pool. Not only could Sam enjoy a little swim before sleeping, he also had loads of drinking water. Before he goes to sleep, all you need to do is release his little dumplings into the water, then take a nap on top of this golden podium. Heat from the open interior should be enough, though during the night it could be a little chilly. No matter, there are many flames around the inner walls that Sam could easily nab if he wanted to. While I'd usually not count this due to the open ceiling, there are currently no threats of an aerial attack, so I think we'll be safe. That will change, however, in Sand Canyon. After a battle with the kamikazes, we find this little crevice with secret goodies inside. But also inside are now introduced harpies, which will be a pain if Sam wants to get some shut-eye from now on. Although after killing the harpies, Sam should have no trouble sleeping in this confined area. While I would keep looking, it's worth considering that Sand Canyon has absolutely no water in it. Sam will have to wait for that drink and hopefully he doesn't have to use the toilet. It's not particularly comfy here, but the nearby tunnels are rather swamped with enemies. At first I thought maybe the room with the Tommy gun would work, but it does close in on you shortly after getting the secret weapon. There is one last place though, a place where no enemy could find us. A little cubby enclosed in one of the tunnel rooms. This might not seem like an ideal place to sleep, but it does give us a great dark environment to shut our eyes in. With many fires nearby to snatch, Sam has found a reasonable, if not flawed, place to sleep. Tomb of Ramses III is a spooky place with screams top to bottom. However, that can't stop you from having an elegant sleep. Being as there's no water in this level either, Sam will have to again wait a while for that blessed thirst. By now, he'd probably have taken a dump somewhere else, like perhaps on one of these lanterns. Early in the level, we have a secret that is not accessible to any enemies due to jumping being required to enter. There are no harpies in the underground levels, so with this heat source nearby, we found yet another impractical but workable sleeping solution. Valley of the Kings didn't look very promising at first, of course due to the vast open landscape ahead. However, past the sandy outdoors we'll find many closed-in locations, some of which perfect for sleeping. Before that, however, I did notice that the Onk's location is relatively untouchable once Sam clears the area. But then I consider the fact that harpies exist now, so who knows when one could see Sam exposed and swoop in for the kill. As such, this area is most definitely unsafe for sleeping. Into the underground we go. Not long into the level, we come across this stairwell with a very convenient underside. Had this been a level without any water, it might make for a decent place to sleep. However be it, Valley of the Kings has quite a bit of water, even underground. Once Sam has made it to one of those final rooms in the level, he'll come across a pool of water with an Ankh below. Without the need of such trivial things of course, Sam could move to the left of the pool and find this nice little area directly under a torch, which would be unseen by the enemy forces passing by. With nearby water that could eventually become the toilet, Sam has found a rather cozy little area to take a nap in. The Moon Mountains makes for a large and rather open environment, but there are still plenty of places here to hide away. The best example being the secret behind the pit into a basin of water. Just jump across the pit, clear out all those nasty kamikazes, and embrace the sweet nothingness of the dark abyss. Need any water? Just head on back to the waterfall and take a sip of this beautiful flowing current. Gotta take a dump? Well, that pit will certainly make for a great toilet. Torches nearby are a check, and with all that covered, Moon Mountain's sleeping location is check. Oasis is easy. Jump backwards. Looks good enough for me. There's no heat source and the water would likely get pretty cold towards the later hours of the day, but there's just enough distance between the waterfall and the depths that I think Sam should feel decent enough here without extra weather alterations. Besides, who would want to pass up that fantastic waterfall white noise? Dunes. No matter how we look at it, this level is going to be a challenge in finding a safe spot. You also have to consider Dunes is another level without any water. I thought there was water at this little oasis secret, but apparently not. Even if this had water though, the sun is too hot out here. Sam would be fried by the time he wakes up. Out of luck, we head into the location towards the end of the level. With careful observation, one could find this out-of-place brick that Sam can jump on. This allows Sam to reach a secret area that is both out of sight and dark. There is a light source somewhere, but you'd be damned to find out where that is. With a ledge for dumping, this is about the best we'll get for Dunes. The suburbs is by no means a place to rest, unless you consider the huts that you for some reason cannot enter, and unfortunately this is yet another level without any presence of water. There are a few little crevices that Sam could consider, but most of these, like this one, leave Sam completely exposed to enemies popping up around the corner. So what Sam will have to do is accept a little break just before the level ends. It's an infamous little secret that's hard to miss when jumping down the pipe which leads to the sewers. While there's no water, there is certainly a comforting atmosphere with 2 fires and 2 health goodies. None of Mental's minions would be found in this little secret, and how ironic, the toilet this time around doubles as a real toilet. Anything that falls here will head straight into the sewers anyways. Unfortunately for Sam, by now he would likely be parched. Sure, he had lots of water in the oasis, but Dunes would leave him in desperation from all that heat. Sam could take a rest here, but it would probably be best to keep on going. Sewers is a tricky level, particularly because all water within this region should be expected to be entirely contaminated by bodily fluids hundreds if not thousands of years old. Sure, most of it by now would be rainwater, but I don't think Sam should be taking those chances. But of course it's totally okay to shoot a rocket at your feet. Just make your way to the top of the sewer braces and rocket yourself right into this little ventilation shaft. Sure, it's not going to be too comfortable and the only heat source is the light shining from above, but just look at how out of harm's way Sam is here. Plus, all water that flows down here is just rainwater. It should be perfectly fine for consumption so long as it isn't being contaminated by rust on the way down. Dumps ahoy, and this becomes an opportunity Sam can't pass up. I know what you're thinking. What about that secret pit? That's pretty isolated and also pretty dangerous. Just how did these clears end up here? I'd expect some foul play. Also, would you be comfortable sleeping under a giant encasement of gravity-defying sewage? I think I'll pass on that one. So that's 1 for vent, none for gravity-defying sewage. Metropolis might seem a bit overwhelming, but fear not, as Sam has a few tricks up his sleeve. Or his rocket launcher. Frankly, while the idea of rocket jumping for a place to sleep might seem a bit stupid, just look at these results. I only hope Sam has had a lot to drink in the sewers, as odd as that may sound, because this little rooftop here just might make for a mini vacation spot. Heat from the sun, an area to dump, and best of all, straw bedding. This could be the most comfortable sleep for Sam in hours, because I don't think the sun has even set once yet. You might think, but Frame, what about harpies? I don't know, do you really think a harpy could spot us out here lying airtight to the wall? I think we'll be good, but we really should be hydrating ourselves with fresh water soon, hopefully. Alley of the Sphinxes. Looks like nighttime is finally upon us. Now, we might have gotten a couple good naps in here or there before, but you can't go a night without sleeping.
That's not okay.
Sam will have to tackle the early resistance before he has a chance at shut-eye. Once we've come to this middle building here, well, frankly, we've come across the only genuine sleeping ground for Sam. I know, Sam, I know, you're very thirsty by now, but hold tight. At least you have a warm place to sleep. But I hope you've emptied your bladder and colon, because this ain't nowhere you could release without the terrible aroma flooding the room. Might just have to grin and bear it, Sam. Or move to the next level. It's your choice, really. Luckily for Sam, there's a limitless supply of water in the following level. The real question is, where is the safest place to settle here in Karnak? I'll take all locations other than those with water out of the equation, because Sam, no matter what you tell me, you need to get your fluids up. Once reaching the Ankh Pool, it may be tempting to drink a little and perhaps take a dump, but maybe all that can wait because a true paradise is just a short adventure away. Once Sam has passed the Ankh Pool via the underground tunnel, he'll come up to a very pleasant vista with loads of water to both swim and drink from. Preferably not in that order. Once replenished, Sam can take a nap anywhere that isn't overly exposed by the non-existent ceiling. A quick disposal of this statue might be just what you need, but use your own discretion, Sam. This all looks rather promising, but perhaps you should just drink this one out and wait for the next level to rest. After all, you've had a lot of that recently. Now Sam, you've been refilled on your water intake recently, so I don't suspect Luxor will be much of an issue in that regard. There are a lot of tight spaces in Luxor, but not many of them come across as particularly useful here for sleeping. There is a readily available building, though it's flooded with Nars. I'm just not so sure about a safety guarantee once they're killed off. Sure, it's promising, but it's not quite enough, is it? Not today, Clear!
Sudden gust in my face, burning rain tore the clouds.
This area doesn't look too bad. Good heating, a view of the outside. I wonder if Mental's minions would see you here, though. That's something to consider. Oh, shit! By now, Sam is feeling a bit depressed with his decisions, and overall pretty tired. It's only realistic at this point for Sam to commit Samicide. Whoa, what the? We're alive? Not only are we alive, but I think we found our pain-free sleeping ground. There's no enemy in sight, there's no way to get in, and there's just one way to get out. Torches everywhere, many rooms to potentially use for dumping. Well, Sam, make yourself comfortable, because just about anywhere in here is safe enough for you to take a rest. So you heard there was water in the sacred grounds. I guess you would be a bit thirsty from all that trouble in Luxor. Dehydration is no joke, you need some water. Let's take down all those Clear, Biomechs, Kamikazes, Arachnoids. There really is quite a diverse range of enemies here. We'll have to consider that for safety purposes. There is some water here, but obviously it's no place to slack off. Getting some strong Upper Temple of Hercat vibes here. Drink if you like, Sam, but this is not a place to sleep. Time to carry on. Oh, and be sure not to kill Pinky. Well, doesn't this look promising? This is pretty much the exact same scenario as Karnak, oddly enough. The only thing to fear is harpies, and really that can be avoided by just sticking behind one of these pillars. There's fire, water, leaves, and those could easily be used as bedding material. Get ready, Sam, because you might be in for the best sleep of your adventure here. Just try not to think about what happens later tonight. Oh boy, the Great Pyramid. Now this is going to be a challenge. Or not really, since you've got a rocket launcher, right? Well, when there's a rocket launcher, there's a way. Before heading too far into the level, you can actually rocket jump up here to the enemy spawns. One might consider these caves to be a decent place to lie down, but considering that's exactly where the enemies will be, I don't think that'd be anywhere near a good plan. While there are various places Sam could consider, nothing here is really ideal, and frankly, with so much going on here, I think it's best to call this nap off. You did just sleep in Sacred Yards, so I think you've probably been quite rested. I bet you slept right up until you came here. It was just daytime and now it's night. How many hours did you get in there, Sam? I think you deserved it. You're ready to face the biggest threat of all, Ugzon III. After which, well, frankly, Sam, I'll leave this one for you to decide.